Kiva Jayo Jaya Gora Chande Arati Kushobha Janavi Tatavane Jagamanalobha Daki Nitai Jam Pami Gadadhara Nikate Advaita Shrini Vasajatadhara Bosi Ache Gorachan Ratna Simhasane Arati Karena Brahma Adi Devagani Narahari Adi Kori Jamaradulaya Sanjaya Mukunda Vasu Gosadigaya Shanka Paje Ghanta Paje Madhur 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 Paje Shanka Paje Ghanta Paje Madhur 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 Paje Nitya Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitya Gora Hari Bol. Bahu Koti Chandra Jini Vadana Ujwala Gala De Sevana Mala Kuri Jalamala Shiva Sukha Narada Preme Gada Gada Bhakti Vinoda Dekhe Gora Sampada Kiva Jayo Jayo Gora Chande Arati Kushobha Janavi Tatavane Jagamanalobha Gaurange Arati Shobha Jaga Mana Mana Loba Gaurange Arati Shobha Jaga Mana Mana Loba Gaurange Arati Shobha Jaga Mana Mana Loba Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura Hari Bol. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatadistarine Namaste Saraswati Jayini Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda, Radha Gokula Nanda Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Bhakti Bihari, Radha Bhakti Bihari, Radha Bhakti Bihari Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Bhakti Bihari, Radha Bhakti Bihari, Radha Bhakti Bihari Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Shri Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Rama Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Rama Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Paravajakacharya Stotra Stata is Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa Paravajakacharya Stotra Stata Shri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Ki. Vrindavan Dham Ki. Mayapur Dham Ki. Jagannathpuri Dham Ki. Tulsi Maharani Ki. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. Namaste Narashingaya, Namaste Narashingaya, Prahlada-daine, Prahlada-daine, Hiranyakashipurvakshaha, Hiranyakashipurvakshaha, Shilatankanakalai, Ito na shinga parto na shinga. Ito na shinga parto na shinga. Yato yato yamita to na shinga. Yato yato yamita to na shinga. Bahe na shinga ridae na shinga. Bahe na shinga ridae na shinga. Bahe na shinga ridae na shinga. Nara shinga madin sharanam prabhade. Tava kar kamalavare nagan. Adbhut shingam. Dalita Hiranyakashipu Tanubringam Keshavadrita Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Tava kar kamanavare nagan adbhut shingam dalita hiranyakashipu tanubringam keshavadita narahari rupa jaya jagadisha hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Keshavadeta Narahari Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadisha Hare Jaya Narsinghadev 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 Jaya Narsinghadev Jaya Narsinghadev 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 Jaya Narsinghadev Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prahlad Maharaj Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Srila Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada mere pyare Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, mere pyare Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Gurudev, Jai Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, mere pyare Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, mere pyare Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, mere pyare Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. So we are continuing on with the Bhagavad Gita class, the third chapter, Bhagavad Gita Karma Yoga. So let's start first with the blessings invocation, so that the spiritual energy to get the blessings of the higher authorities and Guru Parampara to understand and imbibe ourselves in these teachings, sublime teachings. Manor Jai. Perfect. Yeah, please, Jai. Will be closed. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vrajajana Rajana Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Vrajajana Rajana Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunjabihani, Jayo Radha Madhava, Jayo Kunjabihari. Jai Srila Prabhupada. Ora Brahmanande Hari Hari. Jai Hare Krishna. Hello everyone. Let's start. We are reading the third chapter of Karma Yoga, verse 35. Let's start with invocation prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So today we are reading from the third chapter, 45 verse. Shreyan Swadharmano Viguna Paradharmatsvi Anustitat Swadharme Nidanam Shreya Paradharmo Bhayavaha Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmatsvi Anushtita Swadharme Nidanam Shreya Paradharmo Bhayavaha. Shreyan Swadharmo Viguna Paradharmatsvanushtita Swadharme Nishtanam Shreya Paradharmo Bhayavaha. Okay, word by word. Shreya, far better.
Far better.
Swadharma,
Svadharma,
one prescribed duties.
one's prescribed duties.
Viguna,
Viguna,
even faulty.
even faulty.
Paradharmat,
Paradharmat,
the duties mentioned for others.
than duties mentioned for others.
Suanushtita,
Suanushtitat,
perfectly done.
perfectly done.
Swadharme,
Svadharme,
in one's prescribed duties.
in one's prescribed duties.
Nidanam,
Nidanam,
destruction.
destruction.
Shreya,
Shreya,
better.
better.
Paradharma,
Paradharma,
duties prescribed for others.
duties prescribed for others.
Bhaya avaha,
Bhaya avaha,
dangerous.
dangerous.
Translation and purpose by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: it is far better to discharge one's prescribed duties, even though faultily, than another's duty perfectly. Destruction in the course of performing one's own duty is better than engaging in another's duties, for to follow another's path is dangerous. Purport. One should therefore discharge his prescribed duties in full Krishna consciousness, rather than those prescribed for others. Materially, prescribed duties are duties enjoyed according to one's psychophysical condition, under the spell of modes of material nature. Spiritual duties are as ordered by the spiritual master for the transcendental service of Krishna. But whether material or spiritual, one should stick to his prescribed duties even up to death, rather than imitates another's prescribed duties. Duties on the spiritual path and duties on the material path may be different, but the principles of following the authorized direction is always good for the performer. When one is under the spell of the modes of material nature, one should follow the prescribed rules for the particular situation and should not imitate others. For example, a Brahmana who is in the mode of goodness is non-violent, whereas a Kshatriya who is in the mode of passion is allowed to be violent. As such, for a Kshatriya, it is better to be vanquished following the rules of violence than to imitate a Brahmana who follows the principles of non-violence. Everyone has to cleanse his heart by a gradual process, not abruptly. However, even when one transcends the modes of material nature and is fully situated in Krishna consciousness, he can perform anything and everything under the direction of a bona fide spiritual master. In that complete stage of Krishna consciousness, the Kshatriya may act as a Brahmana, or a Brahmana may act as a Kshatriya. In the transcendental stage, the distinctions of material world do not apply. For example, Vishwamitra was originally a Kshatriya, but later on the action as a Brahmana, but later he had acted as a Brahmana, whereas Parashurama was a Brahmana, but later on the acts as a Kshatriya. Being transcendentally situated, they could do so. But as long as one is on the material platform, that is us, he must perform his duties according to the modes of material nature. At the same time, he must have a full sense of Krishna consciousness. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Jana Shalakaya Chakshu Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Swapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadanmayam Dadanti Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gudapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sahagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalitam Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Anchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebho Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. welcome for joining. It will be a marvelous reading because the more eager the listeners are, then the Krishna empowers and purifies the speaker. So this I'm looking forward to. And also others, please join us on the YouTube. We have there a live chat, so I'm going to look at the live chat as well. So if you want to contribute to the discussion and have some questions, please do. So in this way, next 20 minutes, let's have together this wonderful Krishna Katha. And there are seniors some, so please I will ask, I'm so grateful to have this opportunity. and I ask for permission of all the senior devotees here, which are all of you. So thank you very much. It's very interesting how. Do you believe that Krishna actually arranges everything for us in temple and outside the temple? Krishna arranged that you came, guys. Krishna arranged that I get this verse. I was reading this verse and I was like, wow, what like, I don't know if somebody's aiming, but you know, I was just meditating on this verse like 3-4 weeks ago, so I guess Krishna knows why I need to hear this. My sentence of this verse that I actually want that we all reflect on is that we all in the neophyte stages of our spiritual life, in one level or another, are trying to follow others' spiritual paths of other persons. Otherwise, if we are not actually trying to do that, we would spiritually strive, we would flourish. Otherwise, if we are actually sticking to our spiritual path, we will flourish. Yeah, so this is the point. And I'm happy that Joy is here. Joy is here as well. So I would actually tell a story in the beginning. So there was a kingdom, and there was one beggar, one kind of a common worker beggar. And he was going around the kingdom, the castle, and he was saying like, oh, you know, it's like, oh, look at this king. He's so easy to be a king. You know, you're ruling everything. You know, it's such a profound thing. You can do whatever you want. You know, oh, it's so easy to be a king. And by any chance, like the king was walking on the fortress, and he heard this person. And he saw him, and he invited him in. And this kingdom, kings asked him, oh, you said it's so easy to be a king? Oh, you think that you can be a king? Oh, of course I can be a king. So then why don't you, from tomorrow, try to be a king for one day? Okay, sure, why not? So king arranged, and this person woke up, and he woke up in a majestic room with full of opulence. And he was like, wow. And there's like, oh, Majesty, please wake up. Your breakfast is ready. Oh, really nice. And then he's like, oh, I can choose. And then he get a plate of something that he didn't like actually. What is this? What kind of preparations are that? Can I just go outside? I know one barber. He's doing some good. So I'm going to just go in there, take some breakfast there. So he went there. And then everybody's like, oh, it's the king, oh, my jest is there. And he was like, yeah, whatever, like, you know, just kind of like totally like acting like as a beggar, as he was actually. He still had the quality of beggar. And everybody's like, you know, disrespecting him, like, well, why is it acting like that? What's the point of it? Like, you know, everybody was like, you know, totally disgusted how he was acting. And then, what else happened? Then, as you that day, what happened? Some decisions came. He had to make some firm decisions, and he was like confused, and he didn't know like, should he choose this? Should he choose that? And he just made a mess of the things. But not only that, but a neighboring country attacked them, and he didn't have the courage to go to the battlefield. frustrated by all things. He starts running to his bed and starts crying. And it's like, I cannot do this. This is terrible. I don't want to be a king. And the king was just waiting aside. It's like, oh, so how is your kingdom, my dear king? Is it nice? How do you like your? It is terrible. I cannot cope with these things. I'm just happy, trying to be a simple worker and just do my thing and just being honest with myself. Yes, this is that exactly. Because, and I want to ask you guys. So why do we try to be someone else? Any thoughts? Why we try to be someone else? Envy. Okay, cool. So why? Can you elaborate?
Envy would be the first one coming to mind, because instead of being grateful for what we've been divinely provided for, we, due to our bodily identification, think this is not enough, and out of greed we want more. So because we are not able to satiate and be the austerity of the mind, to be satisfied, so we want more. So that's another one, greed. So because we want more, we see others who have more. Might be beauty, might be intelligence, might be good speech, might be wealth, might be many things. So we want to be like them because they have more than what I have in this particular aspect. So out of envy, we want to be like the king. Or out of greed, we want to be like the king. That's the two ones, envy and greed.
Okay. Envy and greed. Anyone else? Yeah, we have background music, so yeah, enjoy the background. It's a different flute. It's a special flute that Krishna uses. Yeah. Yeah. Why we endeavor to be someone else? Mm-hmm. Hmm. Amazing. Srinivas Prabhu, maybe. You say the point was, why do devotees, even devotees, are trying to be someone else in their devotional life? Yeah. Yeah, so let's say we have a neophyte devotee. And so this devotee can be a good singer, but he's trying to be a great preacher because he just adores, great preachers. So he's endeavoring so much to be a preacher, but even though he's maybe a really good singer and he can actually contribute in different ways. Or his spiritual path can be taking care of the cows. So why are we trying to be someone else? Why are we even spiritually trying to be someone else? Okay. So, this is Yes?
I would say probably or most likely the most important thing why we want to be somebody else is because we don't know our real eternal constitutional position. Because we don't know who we are spiritually. And so we are looking for ways to use our bodily form of life and our bodily material senses to look for ways to be who we are eternally. And I think that's our biggest quest in life. And so we are trying to be something else in the quest to be our eternal self.
It's better to be Krishna's well-wisher by helping others come to Krishna. Because Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that those who preach his message to others are very dear to me, and they'll come back to me. So by helping others in coming to Krishna, that's the best thing. And you do that according to your capacity. So sometimes you may get to be in a position where you have opulence. Sometimes you may not be in a position where you don't have any opulence. But the main thing is to be an instrument in Krishna's service. And that's the highest thing. But to come to that platform, you have to come to Brahma Bhuta platform. Not be affected by the modes and you see yourself as Krishna's postman. So, but in order to be like that, then you have to understand who Krishna is first. So Prabhupada emphasized reading his books, and in time your conviction becomes strong who Krishna is, then everything balances out from that.
Exactly. This is actually in the purport, or in the second part of the purport, is also said that we have to transcend the modes, and then not only that we are able to bring people to Krishna according to our capacity, but actually any capacity, because we are not anymore conditioned by the modes and conditioned by our only capacity, material capacity. But if spiritual master wants us to do something that is totally, like if he wants to sing and we don't have any singing capacities because we are transcended, we can actually achieve it. We can achieve miracles. So this is what actually also Prabhu you said. So it's like we can bring people from our material aspect. You know, if you are a good worker, to be exemplary worker and to be peaceful, and people will be like, oh, how are you so peaceful and happy what you're doing, such a simple life, you know, it's so inspiring, you know. And I'm like big businessman, I'm terribly, you know, frustrated, you know. So how come that you are so peaceful? So, you know, in this way. Or it can be like, you know, you are a big preacher and everybody's like, oh, how, like you're such an amazing speaker, you have such amazing knowledge. But then if you transcend all of this, you can do anything. If spiritual master wants from the worker to become a preacher, you become a preacher. So this is what also in the purport Srila Prabhupada was mentioning. And yeah. So I really like your comments that we are not satisfied, because when I was listening to you, I kind of got an idea. We don't know our constitutional position. Why is this important to us? Because I kind of saw it. We are not satisfied with our spiritual advancement. We are not satisfied with our spiritual, non-material activities. We don't get any joy from them. Why? Because we are not in our modes. We didn't kind of find activities, or we didn't emphasize in our spiritual life something that is really resonates with us. You know, yeah. So, something that really resonates with us, something that, you know, is it more reading? Is it more taking care of the cows? Is it more chanting? Is it more, okay, everybody should come to the point of chanting more? Is it everything that inspires you more? Yeah, hearing, studying, managing. So this is actually what, when I was speaking to the senior devotees, what they told me. Why is it so important to do our activities, to understand our constitutional position, material, and also to understand what our spiritual master wants from us. I want to say that we know our like eternal form, what is our eternal form, but spiritual master knows our capacity. Spiritual master will tell us what to do. So he sees us, and he knows that exactly. He like totally see what, because he's guided with Paramatma. He tells us, you are good for this. You should emphasize this, and this is your spiritual progress will be there. My spiritual master said, look, you should read 2 hours a day because your mind is crazy. so yeah, like, you know, your mind is crazy. You have to read 2 hours a day, and when I don't listen to him, my mind is still crazy. So he knows. And in this way, I am following my spiritual, as Srila Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport. He was saying, so we have a material duties and joined according to one's physical, psychophysical conditioning. So that would be like you are an accountant, you are a businessman, you are a king, you are a manager. You have these qualities. You have this mode, material nature inside of you. You have this, you know, if you see a kshatriya, you, like many devotees, you can like see in the movement. Some devotees, you see that they're kshatriyas. You know, they are like, you know, they are powerful, they want to lead, and they want to protect. They can, you know, it's like, you know, if you ask, if you speak to Atmanavendana Maharaj, he cannot tolerate injustice. He cannot tolerate it, because he's kshatriya. This is kshatriya's nature. Of course, he's in transcendental now, he's above the Varnashram Dharma. But this is the tendency of a kshatriya. So when we actually start to understand and to enjoy, to start to do activities in Krishna consciousness, and this is what Krishna says, Srila Prabhupada say, in full Krishna consciousness. Not only being a kshatriya and then you go to a big business and just, you know, be a kshatriya in the businessman or some in government, but in full Krishna consciousness. So what do you think, why is it important to do your Svanashram Dharma in full Krishna consciousness? And why not only, you know, just be your Dharma, that's it? Isn't that enough? Why it has to be in full Krishna consciousness? You understand the question? Maybe, Ben, if you have some thoughts?
Because we're trying to raise above Varnashram Dharma, because that's still a material occupation as well. We're in this material world, so in order to transcend that, then we need to become Krishna conscious. Many spiritual movements or, you know, impersonalists like that, voidism, it's still material in some sense. Of course not impersonalist, it's still transcendental. But with Krishna consciousness, it's getting us to that point where we have no material qualities. It's just because we're fully engaged in the Lord's service. Everything we do is just completely transcendental because we're fully surrendered. Everything's spiritual, everything's connected to the Lord. And whereas in impersonalism, voidism, we get material tinges, and that's what causes us to fall down. So what the speaker of karma is materialist, everything's associated with such activities. But with Krishna consciousness, we get to that point where our consciousness is just so attached to the Lord's lotus feet that you know, everything's got to be spiritual. It can't be any other way.
Srila Prabhupada says in second chapter, one of the purports, he says, and as long as one has not transcended the modes, he should act within the Varnashram. When someone's transcended the modes, like Vishwamitra became a
Kshatriya from Brahmana.
Kshatriya from Brahmana, and Parashurama became a Brahmana from a Kshatriya.
Yes.
So, if you're transcendental, you can act in any capacity. But if you're not, you should act according to Varnashram. So in this way, you can advance.
And there is also like, and this one more aspect. In fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Prithu Maharaj, he was an exemplary king. And he was speaking, like, you know, he was following his dharma as a king. But he was fully Krishna conscious, he was pure devotee. So what is the effect of a pure devotee comparison to a king who is not a pure devotee? What is a risk with a person who is not a pure devotee of the Lord? What is the risk in his qualities and his activities? Jayo?
He will engage in sense gratification.
Yes. So he will engage in sense gratification and he will deteriorate. So actually, one of the points also that I see here is why we have to engage in full Krishna consciousness. even if we don't transcend yet because it's a process, just because we are not going to deteriorate our morality, we're not going to be attached to sense gratification, we're not going to be attached to lower modes, and we will actually keep our morality. So if we want to be, let's say, if, today democracy, Srila Prabhupada is saying democracy is the most dumbest thing ever. Why? Because we don't know how to choose the leaders, and it's hard to choose the 90 leaders, 90 good leaders or 100 good leaders. It is actually much more achievable to find out one really qualified leader that can lead us. But this leader also have to be fully Krishna conscious. Why? Because otherwise he will also degrade. He will also be fearful. Let's say one of the aspects of surrender is fearlessness. If you're fearlessness, then you cannot be corrupted. Otherwise, they can, put lots of tips. Yeah.
Also, from another point of view of your question, you asked why we need. My question I will formulate it in a different order, which is why we need Varnashram Dharma to be fully Krishna conscious. Why we don't just engage in devotional service and become Krishna conscious.
Perfect. Wow.
Why do we need Varnashram Dharma? And then you gave the answer, as I was asking in my mind. If we don't establish Varnashram Dharma, society will remain at the level of sense gratification. So we need that stepping stone. It's not the goal, but it's a stepping stone.
Regulated, or at least regulated sense gratification, isn't it?
Exactly.
Varnashram Dharma is regulated.
And establishes the principle of life as self-realization.
Jai. And this is Aryans. This is Aryan civilization. This is what actually today we had a Sattva show just a half an hour ago. We were speaking about regulation that actually any civilization that was lasting for thousands of years, whether Maya, Aztecs, Egyptians, Atlanteans, or whatever, all of them were sustaining because they were regulated. Regulation today is only like for the big guys, celebrities and sportmen who need to kind of achieve a lot. But actually, every person should be regulated. Every person, Srila Prabhupada said, every person should be regulated in sleeping, eating, mating, defending. And it's the 18 chapter 23rd verse. Krishna said we have to be regulated in eating, sleeping, recreation, which is health also, and work. And one who is regulated in this, everybody should be. And today, it's like, it sounds like, today we are so degraded that whoever is a little more regulated, he's already like, high achiever. But actually, he's now a natural, normal state. And so yeah, it's like, so in a sense, there is a big benefit of sticking. This is what I want to come back to our initial word. In neophyte stages, because we are not satisfied with our material conditioning, with our material platform status, or spiritual status, how fast we are advancing. We are comparing ourselves to others. We are trying what others are doing and trying to imbibe this in our practice. I was doing this a lot for last 1 year. And what I noticed, I got an experience, but I saw it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work. I was just frustrated. Krishna gave us these people to pick something from them, but not to imitate them. Pick something from them, but not imitate. And actually, when I start to follow my spiritual path, I'm going to flourish. I'm going to flourish, yeah. still like being sure, like is it 5 here or there, just kind of a little pinpointing it a little more now. And this is, and then everybody, you will be authentical. People will like you for you what you are. You will like yourself what you are. You're going to inspire others because you are inspired by your practice. And everything will go nicely, slowly, regulated. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. Perfection is if Krishna is satisfied, not if the results are here. So this is it. This is what I have to say. I don't know any last comments or... I think that it was a very nice conversation. Thank you very much for the inputs. Yeah? Any comments?
I was also reflecting about the point because there's a very thin line between like trying to be somebody else and following somebody else. And now in the last paragraphs you mentioned it, which is Krishna sends us those persons to pick something from them, not to try to be them. And it's like the swan who is able to extract the nectar, like the bee who takes the pollen of each flower to make the honey, which is our own bhav, our own spiritual being. And I was immediately as you were saying that, I was thinking, what about the acharyas? We are trying to be like them, but we are not trying to be them. We are trying to be compassionate, selfless, kind, like they are, at the level that they establish. But we will never be them. We'll be similar in quality, in attributes, but we will not be them. And so I think that's a very thin line. That is, when are we following and when are we imitating? And that we always must guard against, that we don't imitate others, but we follow, especially in the fields where they are inspiring. Some devotees are singing, others dancing, others in Shastra. So we follow in those fields, but we don't try to be them. It's a very thin line, which we must clearly guard against.
Wow, very nice said. Thank you very much for rephrasing it in a nice way that... Actually, I'm picking so much notes. I'm writing notes from the class because you're so amazing, guys. That I actually have to write these things. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice points. Yeah, so to follow in the footsteps, and then through that we find who we are. We find our adhikar, we find our purpose. So follow the footsteps, and then we'll get the trails, the crumbs, and we'll start to understand. Following the acharyas, you know, there's so many great things we can learn. So we follow as best as we can. Obviously, don't try to imitate, because we'd probably just suffocate ourselves and do God knows what. You know, it'll put us off actually if we try to imitate. It'll ruin our spiritual life. It's an offense really to try to imitate something completely inconceivable. So we follow the footsteps and we try our best. Sincerity is everything, and just let Krishna do the rest. That's all I can say.
It's like it just reminds me of, you know, I see some devotee, he's like fully absorbed when he's hearing. But if I try to imitate how he's hearing, to be like, you know, it will be frustrating for me. But okay, the principle is go deeply, hear deeply. Okay, so I see that he's so deeply hearing. Let me try to hear deeply, and just kind of try to do it in my way, how to hear deeply. So I pick up that cherry from him, but I didn't try to like, okay, he's closing. Okay, he has, what you see? Okay, he has this. Okay, yes, now he does this. I'm doing it right. I don't feel anything. You know, so I'm not doing the same thing, but I'm taking the principle out. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Jay. You can say, tell me after the class. Let's go to the prashad. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai. All glories to assembly devotees. Hare Krishna. Wow, Jai, thank you very much for a wonderful discussion. Jai, thank you for coming. You were taking the full, you know, get out of isolation. Now you're taking full benefit of. You took the full benefit of getting out of the isolation now, because today is the first day, right?
Yes, Prabhu.
So you're like, you know, taking full advantage.
I have a lot to learn, Prabhu.
The moment I forget that.
Should I put this?
Yeah, let's pick it up. I feel obvious. I have to to water it, so it will grow. Yeah?
After, but it escapes my mind. You were saying, to this thing about hearing, we see others, but we cannot feel it.
Just take the principles, I guess.
Oh, yeah. It's like, for example, even though we can